Blog Talk Radio.
Oh, it's time to get real. Oh, yeah. It's a new experience. Reality, spirituality. Yeah, keep your ears open for this one now. Reality, spirituality. You got a question for RLN? Reality, spirituality. Yeah, it's time to get some answers, baby. Reality, spirituality. Oh, now we getting real. Getting real. Reality, spirituality. Yeah, it's time to get down. Reality, spirituality. Yeah, you gonna feel good now. Real good. Now, that's what I'm talking about. Time to get real.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Reality Spirituality. I'm your host, Global Happiness Specialist, Rebecca L. Norrington. Thank you for joining the show. Thank you for being a part of the show. Woo! Thank you for sharing the show. Happiness Specialist, Global Happiness Specialist. Who the heck does she think she is? Whee! Well, let me just share with my new audience. What does that mean? That means in every moment I'm making decisions. I'm making choices. I'm making conscious choices to choose happiness. That's in every single moment. And you know the interesting thing about this happiness gig, this happiness pursuit, this happiness discovery is happiness. I wasn't taught where to find happiness. I wasn't taught. Nobody taught that in schools. Now I was taught a lot of other things. Let's see, math, science, history, grammar. The list goes. Foreign language. The list goes on and on. But I was not taught, number one, to value happiness, to think happiness is important. And I also wasn't taught how to find happiness. Where is it? I thought that happiness happened based on something I was doing or what I accomplished or who I was with or how much money I had in the bank account. You know the deal. You know the drill. But the truth is happiness is found within. Oh, gosh, don't we get sick of hearing that? But that's the truth. These people, when I say these people, the masses, including myself, was looking for happiness in all the wrong places, was looking for happiness where it could not be found, where it doesn't live. So with this show, Reality Spirituality, The Truth About Happiness, what I share is how to find it, how to experience more of it, how to practice keeping it. Happiness is a practice skill. Happiness is a practice skill. And it depends on what you practice and how often you practice. You can feel the difference in your body. You can feel the difference whether you feel balanced, relaxed, content, at peace, at ease, shoulders down. Because it is possible to navigate and go through life like that, shoulders down and relaxed, regardless of what happens. And so on this show, Reality Spirituality, The Truth About Happiness, is what I share is what to practice. What to practice. Now, we already said that happiness is a practice skill. The thing about that is when I say it's a practice skill, it's like any other skill. The more you commit to the practice, and it is a daily practice. You don't get any time off. You don't get any vacations. You don't get any sick days. You have to show up every single day. It is grueling. It's no joke. The practice is no joke. The rewards, I don't even have the words. because when you commit to the practice, and it is a daily practice, a moment-by-moment practice, when you commit to the practice, the rewards happen instantly. There is a vibration, there is a feeling of going through, walking through, journeying through this life with your shoulders down, at ease. At ease, soldier. Ease. Trusting, surrendering, a relaxed state of mind. So the topic of today's show is, what club do you belong to? A little confusing maybe. Well, what do you mean, what club? Well, yesterday I went to it's an annual car show event, and it lasts 5 days: Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'm counting on my fingers. Yeah, that's 5 days. 5 days. And so every day there's a different event. Every day there's a different gathering. Every day there's, and I don't know if I mentioned it's a car show. Old cars, classic cars, hot rods, collected cars, a lot of different kinds of cars. These guys and I guess some girls collect cars, old cars. They shine them up and put them on the road, and the cars look like they're from 1960 or 1840. Old. I don't even know if those cars were here during that year. Doesn't matter. I have no clue. I failed history with when were the cars invented. Anywho, so I went to this car show, and it's so interesting how when I say, what club are you in, you don't have to ask me more than once. I'm in the How Can I Experience More Happiness club. And that's the only club I'm in. How Can I Experience More Happiness club. But what I'm discovering is that is it human nature to need to belong to a group or a club? Is it human nature? And I'm going to say, for some, yes. And for some, and the problem comes that there is not an inclusive. Yes, some people like groups, some people thrive in groups, some people need their groups. But there are some people that travel solo. There's animals that travel alone. Lifetime of the polar bear. Soul traveler. You don't see him traveling with any other groups of polar bears. My point is that when a generalization is made about anything, about a person, a culture, or people, there are always exceptions. So this show, Reality Spirituality, is really about the exceptions of people that choose to prioritize and commit to experiencing more happiness. You would think everybody would be down with the club. You would think everybody would be breaking down the doors to join. Well, that's just not the truth. That's not what I've discovered. Because part of the practice, when I say happiness is a practice skill, part of the practice, a big part of the practice, is having a mirror close. Is having a mirror close by and using the mirror all the time. What did I do? What can I do? How can I? It was funny because I met a few new people yesterday. Just talking to just traveling about in the midst of the event of all these people with their classic cars, and a lot of people bought their cars and then they paid $10 to park their cars on the lot, and then you can look around. And you can, there's information on the car, little background information, and it's interesting. Who knew that there were so many people that are really into collecting classic cars? I mean, there's a club for everything, and that's what this whole show is about today. There is a club for anything. When I was talking to this gentleman that I met yesterday, he was telling me that he had 3 cars. Now, when 3 show cars, when you have these show cars, then that requires a lot of time. It requires a lot of money. It requires a lot of resources. It requires a lot of maintenance and a lot of upkeep. It is truly a passion. It is truly a love. You can tell these people love their cars. They love their cars. You don't spend hours and hours and hours of waxing and making sure everything looks so shiny if you don't love doing it. I mean, you could feel the passion from all of these people with these cars. So I'm sitting down talking to this gentleman, and he was telling me that he was upset because where he traveled from a big town. Where I live is a very small town. He traveled from a big town to this car show. It's a pretty well known car show. It's visited by a lot of people all over the country. Anywho, who knew? And so he has a group of guys that they travel together. They all have cars that they show, and I think he said there were 4 of them. Well, of course, there's a complaint right around the corner. One of the things that subtracts from happiness is complaining. But there is a complaint right around the corner, and I listen to because it's interesting to hear what people get angry about, because that's one of my favorite questions. What angers you? What makes you mad? What irritates you? What bothers you? I love that question. I love asking that question of people that I don't know. It just takes me right to the core of learning about them quickly. Anywho, so he was telling me, this gentleman was telling me about the place he was staying in. He says, I'm in this Motel 6. It's a horrible place. I would never stay there, but the guy that's in the group, he was in charge this time. I mean, the guy just kept complaining about where he was staying. The interesting thing is what I hit him with, and the guy kept pointing his finger at his friend who said he was in charge on this trip. He picked out a cheap motel. The motel is, I mean, come on, a Motel 6. Not to say that there aren't any nice ones, but it's a 50-50 shot that you're going to come out of there with some bed bugs. You know, that's a terrible joke. Anywho, listen, you get what you pay for. So he kept complaining about it, and then I said with my global happiness specialist hat, I said, well, you can only blame that on yourself where you're staying. You can only blame yourself. You know, when I say happiness is a practice skill, not only is it a practice skill, you are responsible, and you alone are responsible for your happiness and how much happiness you are experiencing or you are feeling in any given moment. Only you, no one else. There's no one else in that mirror, only you. So when I asked him, I said, well, you're the blame for that. He looked at me a little cross-eyed and, who the hell are you? I mean, who talks like that? I'm complaining, and then I say, well, it's your fault. Whee! And now you know why I don't have any friends. Anyway, back to the point. But when I shared that with him, I said, whose fault is it? He looked at me for a moment, and he thought, he was really thinking. And he said, I guess that could be my fault because I let him take charge, and he was feeling a little slighted, and he didn't take charge before, and I let him take charge, and this is what happens. We're all staying in some flea-bitten motel, and all of us we're here for 2 nights, and it's miserable. No, actually, 3 nights. It was miserable. We're miserable. And then I said, well, you don't have to stay there. You can always pick up your trailer and in your classic car and move it to another place that's a little bit nicer. There's more than one hotel, motel in the small town, even though it's not that many more. The point is, how often are you recognizing, are you realizing, are you admitting, are you actively practicing that you are responsible for your happiness and you alone? And the other point is the complaining, the talking about it and then complaining. We have, when I say we, I'm talking about this community, this global community, have gotten to a point where the norm is to complain. The norm is to complain. So when I talk about what club are you in, that's a really legitimate question because there are so many different interests. And you'll find that whatever you are passionate about and really interested in, you are going to make the effort to practice. You are going to make the effort to however, make this, when I say skill set, whatever club you're talking about. And it could be a travel club, it could be a photograph club, it could be a club about animals, Toastmasters, card club. It could be any kind of a gourmet chef club. So my point is, what are you interested in, and what are you passionate about? And is this peace? When I say peace, okay, I didn't give my definition of happiness. My definition of happiness is the ability to be at peace regardless of what happens, to you. So my point is, what club are you interested in? What club are you fascinated by? What club are you passionate about? You don't have to ask twice about which club I'm interested in, passionate about, because this is it. How do I feel? How do I vibrate? How do I give off that energy? How am I that energy of peace? How am I? How do I identify? How do I become that energy of peace all the time? Not just sometimes, all the time. Is that even possible? Well, the more you practice, the easier it becomes. And the thing about looking at other people and being interested or fascinated by their clubs or their passion or whatever they're interested in, I always ask myself, how much peace is whatever the club that you're in is providing you? Wow, what a convoluted sentence. How much peace is whatever you are interested in, whether it is a hobby, whether it is a sport, whether it is a passion, how much peace is that passion, is that club, how much peace is it providing for you? If any, is the peace temporary or is it lasting? See, that's another question. When I was talking to this gentleman who said he had three show cars yesterday, he collects cars and he had 3 of them. I'm thinking, wow, the passion, you can see it. You can see it. You can feel it. I even asked him, could we take a picture in front of the car? No, I don't take pictures in front of the car. I mean, there's just in front of the car. There's so much detail to it. These clubs, these groups. There's a lot of rules. There's a lot of unwritten rules. I'm just thinking about playing golf. There's a lot of etiquette. There's a lot of etiquette in how to place your car, show your car. There's a lot. My question is, whatever you're spending your time, whatever you're passionate about, how much peace are you receiving from your passion? How much peace, how much happiness are you receiving from it? Are you getting from it? Is it lasting? So the practice that I'm talking about on the show is, and it is a lot to practice. The practice comes from letting go and eliminating comparing yourself with anyone else. That's one of the biggest things that, listen, I gotta raise my hand on this one. Comparing myself to anyone else. You know, somebody that has a latest book out or has an audience, larger audience, all of it, all comparing subtracts from your happiness, subtracts from your peace. And you know what's interesting? You don't go out into the world, into nature, and the nature is not comparing itself. The animals don't compare. Human is a comparing. And I'm here to say that eliminate, notice, let go of any comparison you have with anyone else, including, this person I feel a little bit more peaceful. Stop comparing. Let go of looking at someone else because that other person is on a totally different journey than you, with different experiences, with a totally different path, with different roads, with different needs. And it's the acceptance of other people and their journey is a practice. The acceptance of looking at someone else and saying that, wow, they spent hours and hours and hours a week polishing, waxing cars. Oh, no soap and water on that car. and it's fascinating to me. I mean, it's mind-boggling how much time people put into what they really love to do. And my question still comes back to how much peace are you getting from it? Yeah, there's a big difference between getting or feeling peaceful from it or just, how do I say this, using the time, spending the time, just spending time on it, spending time on a project, using time in a way that, okay, it's like watching television. You just kind of go into a zone. My point is to be, let's see, I have a few people in the queue. If you want to ask a question, just press the number 1. The number to call in is area code. Sometimes I have a lot of people in the queue. Sometimes I just have a few. The number to call in is area code 646-564-9619. Press the number 1 if you have a question or you want to make a comment. Area code 646-564-9619. Again, back to what behaviors subtract from happiness, comparing. Now, the other thing is it seems really obvious, but it is an epidemic. Complaining about something that happened yesterday. Of course, it's always in the past. Complaining about yesterday, complaining about what happened yesterday, complaining about what happened last week, complaining about what happened 6 months ago. How many of you have a suitcase that you fill up with complaints and you take them with you every single place you go? And you take that suitcase of complaints and you're ready to open it and you're ready to share. It's really interesting, the bond that I watch people have complaining. And it's really a thing. My complaint is bigger than your complaint. Well, you got this complaint. Whoa, guess what happened to me last week? Oh, hold on a second. Okay. I have a question. Okay. Area code 408. You are live. What's your first name? Welcome to Reality Spirituality.
Oh, my name is Chris.
Hi, Chris. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you.
What's your
sounds
question?
like a big problem. Sounds like a big problem. People that live in the past, the past becomes like quicksand. Becomes like quicksand. And they start sinking in it. And other people, it's a platform to stand on. So if you're worried about what happened in the past 10 years ago, or what's going to happen the day after tomorrow, then you're not really connected to life. It doesn't sound like it.
Well, you're definitely not in the present moment, so I have a question for you. So what are some of your challenges, if you'd like to share them?
My challenge, well, it is a challenge because I find that I have the answers, but I seem to be repeating the same thing over and over again. So that's a challenge for me to change that part of whatever that is. But a lot of it has to do with the people that are closest to me.
Well, let's be specific. What do you mean specific? That you have to...
like when people say things, people have their own thought process, their own belief system, and
right.
their actions follow what they believe. And, when they hear certain words, it causes them to say things that, why are they even saying that? That shouldn't even be what's coming out of their mouth. So, but you don't have control about what comes out of their mouth. All you know is what comes out of your mouth. Now,
right.
So I've listened.
My question to you is, because one of the things that subtracts from happiness and subtracts from peace that I talk about on the show a lot is even thinking that or noticing that what other people are saying and or doing, and also giving any power to what other people's words are, because you're right. When you talk about different people, you use one word. You will use the word, let's just use the word respect. Well, that might be a different meaning to someone and a totally different meaning to someone else. And that's one of the reasons why it is difficult to communicate with words with other people, because of their backgrounds and because of how they were brought up. So my question to you, because I can feel you, my question to you is, you're talking about these other people. Why do these other people have any kind of power over you or in your life at all in the first place?
Well, if there was somebody in Hong Kong on the roof of a high building, I wouldn't know who they are. And they don't have no effect on me, okay? But the people that are closest to me, the ones that are dear to me in my heart, I got some issues with some of these folks, and I have to be careful. I have to be careful how I listen.
Well, that's good. Well, but hold on a second. See, that's the challenge. You see, if I have a button, and I talk about this a lot. If I have a button, then somebody is pushing my button, or we all have triggers. Somebody's pushing my buttons. Guess what? It's my responsibility to get rid of my buttons. So I hear exactly what?
I said, yeah, you have to take responsibility for your actions, of course.
Right. For my buttons that get pushed.
Yeah, it's people do that sometimes, and I find it challenging at times because it puts me in a different light that I don't want to be in. And the only reason I'm in that light is because I'm a good listener. That's why, I listen. I don't just sit there. I don't just let it go in one ear and out the other, and then I just talk about what I wanted to say as if they, So when I consider what people are saying in light of the truth that I know, well, that's a filter. Now, they may not have a filter, and it may be annoying to me. I may get upset with it sometimes. But then I think about it. I think about it after the fact. Then I, reviewing the day later on in the day, and I'm sitting there thinking, oh, I could have done a lot better there. I kind of blew it, So I get to learn stuff as I go along. It's just the way it works. Because I want to try to be productive, as far as being an engineer on the inside, internal. I want to speak inside. You know, I want to be the mirror, not the copycats.
You want to be their mirror? Is that what you said? Their mirror?
Well, you know, I look at it like this. You know, every heart has a handle, and the handle's on the inside. And when you open yourself up to people, you become the mirror so they can see themselves. And then they look back someday and say, oh, man, how come I didn't see that before? Well, because it wasn't meant for then. It was meant for today. So today might be next week, maybe next month. Who knows? But I don't want to ruin that opportunity.
Right. Well, that ruin that opportunity. If something is supposed to happen to you, for you, there's nothing you can do that's going to stop it or ruin it. You know that too. You know that. It's like chasing the wind, trying to change. Yeah. The other thing I feel from you, and I don't know, you know, and this is I'm treading on thin ice because I know what happens when I put your seatbelt on. But you're a bit judgmental, meaning. And the only reason why I say that is because the judgment is very, very heavy. It's a heavy energy. These people, when I say these people that you care about, let me throw myself into this. One of the reasons why I had an issue or any issue having peace with anyone, especially people, like you said, are close to me, people that are closest, is because I didn't accept them for exactly who they were, why they did, how they thought, all of it, total acceptance. And when I practiced total acceptance, which is not easy to do, because the only reason why I don't accept others is because of lack of acceptance of myself. But when the practice comes, when the practice is practiced, there is absolutely nothing anyone can say to you, do to you, speak, and you're not affected in any way. You are just as peaceful as if you said something or didn't say anything.
Yeah, I feel that way. I feel peaceful every day. Even though I get upset, those are just my feelings. And I'm the one that'll tell people right out the gate, I never was a sensitive person like this. I never thought I was until I became spiritual. Then I became more sensitive. My feelings became more, they became more real to me. Like before, I would just rely on my feelings. If something made me feel good, I'd do it. If it didn't, I ain't doing it, you know. But then I started realizing when I could examine my feelings finally, I was like, wow, man, you know, that's not exactly how I feel, you know. Because if I hadn't examined those feelings, I would have been continuing making those same mistakes over and over again. So the fact that I was able to do this, you know, I was able to get underneath my feelings down to the heart of the matter and do what I do because that's what matters most to me in that situation. So, yeah, there is such thing as righteous indignation, if you know.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if I see somebody beating up a person,
go ahead.
If I see somebody abusing another person that was in a wheelchair, you know, that couldn't do anything, you know, they can't. And somebody was over there picking on them and abusing that person, I wouldn't just sit there and say, oh, that's just terrible. I would go over there and put the other person in restraint and stop them from abusing somebody that can't defend themselves or isn't kind of a thing that they would do that to somebody else. You know, they're not going to hurt nobody. They're not. They weren't doing anything to warrant anything. So I'm going to jump up and stop that stuff. You know, and whether it be in the family, you know, because a lot of people have dysfunctional families because there's a power struggle in the house. The kids are taking the responsibility that the parents had to transfer responsibility to the kid at the right time in their life, and they screwed it all up, and now it's all messed up. And you know, kids are, you know, it's just like, what a mess. What a friggin' mess. Well,
let me jump back because what I really would like from you, if you're willing, is to really hone in on something specific, because it's easy just to talk stories and families and, you know, power story, all that.
I'm being as specific as I possibly can right now. You know, I'm just kind of giving some ideas about, you know, there's people involved, you know, and people are who they are, you know, and I keep my my inner peace, I have inner peace,
right.
I don't have to go outside of myself to find it. It's inside, I'm enjoying the nice weather, it's blue skies. It's wonderful. It's called love,
mm-hmm.
And I have no problem with that. That's me. But if anybody says, well, he was saying he was all getting upset or whatever, well, I guarantee you, people will never say, well, he was showing kindness, gentleness, he was being patient, he was long-suffering. Nobody talks about that, as if that never even existed. And I'm thinking, whoa. In my mind, I'm thinking, wait a second. Now, is somebody blind or somebody's not blind? And I'm thinking, who's the one that's blind here? It sure isn't me, because I convey this stuff to them, hey, in a way that they would be able to get it. But they're so full of themselves that they can't get it. Because I notice that people, even myself at times, I find that what I love and what I hate gets tangled up in a little knot, and I can't get underneath. I can't get it untangled sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not a good place to be either. So I like to take the time necessary to, if those things pop up on the radar, in the mind, then I look at it, But I don't just look at it myself. The truth is showing me things if I would just pay attention. And I find it was difficult for me to pay attention when I couldn't see. But now that I can see, it's like very clear now, exactly what you're saying. Yeah, nobody should have that kind of power over you to do that. And there's
right.
tough choices to make in life sometimes. You can't make your choices based off your feelings because that's not going to work. You have to base it off of what you know. And then after you do it, then you can look back and see how you feel about it. Because, after all, feelings got you in trouble in the first place because you weren't paying attention.
Right. Well, I understand exactly what you're saying, and I really, really appreciate you calling and contributing to the show. I really, really do. Chris, thank you so much. One of the things that he said, which I want to revisit really quickly, is, again, paying any attention or noticing what anybody else is doing and then making a judgment about it. The only thing we have is that person in the mirror. But let me just back up a little bit. Let me back up. I don't believe that there are any mistakes made. I think that this universe, this journey is in complete order. There's no such thing as a mistake. I totally get it. I know we were programmed to believe that, yes, we make mistakes. However, I think that all action, there is a reason for it. That's just what I believe. And that's what brings me a lot of peace, and especially just trusting that and letting go. So there's absolutely zero mistakes that can be made, will be made, or were ever made. The other thing I want to say is looking at someone else or judging, even when I was at this car show yesterday, it was fascinating to me, the interest that people have and the variety of interests that people have. And it's fascinating to me that, let me just be honest, that is this bringing you any kind of peace? And if it is, scratch that. Just scratch all that. Because, okay, what is my point? My point is, what club are you a membership of? What club is your focus? What club do you identify with? What club is it? Is it a universal club? When I say universe, the same as God, source, energy, higher power, spirit, higher energy. It's that club. It's that club, or it's the club of the ego. It's the club of the mind. It's the club of the criticism. It's the club that there's always something wrong. It's the club that focuses on what's wrong. And the truth is, the reality is, there's nothing wrong ever. But who wants to say that? Who wants Who wants to believe that? Who wants to trust that? No, this is a world that likes to complain and find something wrong. Complain and find something that isn't. In other words, scratch that. Complain and find something that this moment needs to be different. This present moment needs to be different than what it is. Something in this moment needs to change, needs to be different. And I'm here to say that there is absolutely nothing that needs to change, nothing that needs to be different, other than the self-awareness, the consciousness in every single moment. See, I'm not going to talk about anybody else unless I'm telling a story that has an opportunity or a lesson to grow or a growing opportunity. It was really eye-opening yesterday when because I always say that we're as different as our fingerprints, that the variety of interest. What I find is a lot of time is spent. There's a lot of time spent doing A, B, C, or D. But where is the time? Where are the resources? Where is the energy spent that's going to bring you more peace? That's going to guarantee bringing you more peace. Where is that spent? How often is that spent? It's just like stretching. I'm supposed to stretch every single day, foam roller every single day. And the more I do it, the easier my body feels. So it's the same practice. The more you practice, the more you identify, the more you commit to the practice of wanting to experience more peace, the more you commit to it and let go of judgment of others and let go of thinking that something needs to be different. You can feel there's an energy of lightness. Anybody can, excuse me, anybody can talk about wanting to be happier or be at peace. Anybody can talk about it. But who's practicing it? And you can feel how light you are. I always tell my son I have my fingers an inch away. My fingers are an inch away. I'm an inch away from laughing in any particular moment. My point is the commitment to peace, the commitment to feeling that vibration of contentment, that commitment to being balanced is a daily choice. And with that practice, what do you practice that's going to add to your happiness? Humbling your ego, recognizing your ego, knowing yourself, acceptance of others, living consciously, being okay with uncertainty, letting go of the past, not talking about the past. What's there to talk about? Unless you're keeping stats. Choosing your patience, choosing your focus and having patience. All of these add to your happiness and add to your peace. Well, that's all the time we have for today's show. I want to thank you for listening to Reality Spirituality. The Truth About Happiness is heard every Sunday at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. My website is RebeccaNorrington.com. Follow me on Twitter at RLNorrington. I have a LinkedIn. My Instagram handle is Reality Spirituality. I have a couple of videos on YouTube. I know my YouTube channel is a work in progress. My first book, Reality Spirituality, The Truth About Happiness, can be purchased on Amazon. And my second book, Program for Unhappiness, is going to be coming out sooner than later. So until next week, my dear audience, I want you to remember who you are. You are a physical extension of the universe. You're always evolving, you're always changing, and you're always growing. Love is patient. Love is kind. Be patient and be kind to yourself. Be your own best friend. Remember, you cannot have a happy ending to an unhappy journey. You've been listening to Reality Spirituality with yours truly, Global Happiness Specialist Rebecca L. Norrington. Thank you for listening. Have a conscious week. And remember, happiness is a practice skill. Your happiness in your experience in any moment determines and reflects upon how much and what you practice. Have a great week.
Oh, it's time to get real. Oh, yeah. It's a new experience. Spirituality. Yeah, keep your ears open for this one, man. Spirituality. You got a question for RLN? Spirituality. Yeah, it's time to get some answers, baby. Spirituality. Oh, now we get real. Yeah, it's time to get down. Yeah, you gonna feel good now.